Hello, everyone. Hello and welcome to Superhero Shonen Punch, the one and only podcast that punches you.
That's right.
My name is Josh. I'm your first puncher, and this is Dave.
I'm Dave, and I punch below the belt.
You heard it here first. Dave punches below the belt.
That's right.
Thanks
Welcome
for joining
back.
us, everybody. We're having so much fun doing this. Dave, when you were like, oh, I have this idea for this podcast and I think it'll be super fun, I was like, that sounds really fun. But I don't know. It's like one of those weird, like, there's already so many podcasts, but doing this, I'm like, I understand why there's so many. It's so fun to just, I don't know, hang out with somebody that you really enjoy hanging out with and like just talking about something you care about. This is great. I'm having a blast.
I am too. It's one of those, like, I was also worried that it'd be a once or twice and done, but we've had so much fun that it's been fun to put the effort in. I don't know.
Yeah. And I think I looked at one of them and it had like 20 views, and I'm gonna be honest, like already I'm like 20 views, like maybe give me half of those are bots. That's still 10 people or 10 times that Ben listened to this. That's pretty cool.
That's right.
Ben,
And
thank you for bumping up our numbers, Ben.
And I don't mind robot fans either.
Yeah, no, I'm all about that. Honestly, that's the future, so
we'll put in some
we're
extra
ahead of it.
beeps and boops for everybody.
Yes. 121200.
Speaking to how much,
or it's just 1 and 0. Shoot.
You've offended half our audience.
Yeah. I've offended half our audience.
But speaking of for the love of it, I mean, and so we're talking about Dead Body Road today. That's our comic topic. And just to roll in that love, we recorded this entire episode before, and somehow it turned into a dead body on the side of the road, and we're redoing it now for the love of it.
Dead Podcast Road.
That's right.
I did a great recording. Like, it was one of the best, like, well done recordings I've ever had. But I forgot to turn on my mic, which made it hard to get any audio, says Dave. I said you should just, like, figure out a way, transcribe, like, read the lips, write a bot, some sort of computer thing that figures out what I'm saying, and then use an AI voice translator with my voice, plug all the words in, and you have the podcast. I didn't think it was that hard, Dave.
I spent hours trying to do that and got really close, but the voice that you had was unbearable.
Oh. So this time I turned my mic on.
Mm-hmm.
We checked the video, the audio. What else did we check? The size. Oh, we didn't check the size of the save. So if this one's bad and it's because of the size of the save, that one's not on me because I'm bringing it up now.
I see. I'll take it on that one if that's the case. But I think we're good.
I know we're good. I'm an audio genius now. I know everything. So.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Dave, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Having fun. Yeah. It as much as we've been on top of this, it feels like there's a length of time between each one. Like, feels like it takes a while, but yeah, I enjoyed talking about this last time. I'm excited to talk about it again. I talked last time. I've been getting into 3D printing lately and have had some failures. If I can see this, that's a squid that half of his legs turned into, or I guess an octopus. Half of his legs turned into spaghetti. I then had some subsequent prints and had one turn out just about perfect.
That does look nice.
Thanks.
It's so cute.
I love it. And then I've since printed like some random holders and stands for like my headphones and one of my game controllers. And I don't know how useful all of them been, but it's been super fun so far. And I'm excited. I have a project that I want to try to do. I was looking up something about a microphone that you can buy a inexpensive microphone, take it apart, put it in a 3D printed case, and because of like the quality of the cheaper one, but then having it spaced correctly, like more expensive ones, it'll sound pretty good.
Oh,
and then that involves like
cool.
3D printing the outside of it to make it look cooler. So I'm excited to have a project that kind of has even more utility.
That's awesome. I recently got 3D prints in from Etsy, and I was reminded you have a 3D printer, and I thought to myself, I should have just bought the files and sent it to Dave and said, I'll pick it up.
I'm down to try it. I will say it's more nuanced than you'd think. Like,
I believe that.
They talk about like balancing it and stuff, and if you don't get that right, you build a really poor base, and then the rest of it's all wonky, and it takes a lot of practice to get it right.
Yeah. But I mean, I've seen videos of some crazy things that people have built. Do you have like a golden egg thing that you in the future want to print?
It's hard. Like, these are awesome, and it's even better than I thought it was going to be. But once you get into the resin printing that you can get, instead of it being like an extruder spooling out all of the plastic, it's like a system that dips it into a vat of liquid that then like photocopies basically each layer. And the resolution for those is you can't see the lines or anything basically.
Okay.
And that would be a fun end goal someday, because you can print like figures or like the sky's the limit for those.
Yeah.
But I think right now my big goal would be to get a scan of you, Josh, and print out a Josh figurine that says I'm walking here. Just because I don't know if I can live without a Josh figurine in my house.
Oh, man. I mean, okay. So to be accurate to my height, I think we have to do feet to inches. So it'll have to be 7 inches tall because. So I don't know if you want to print something that tall. I know that's a lot of plastic. You know.
It's true. We'll see. I like to be accurate. Like to be precise. So it'll be worth it.
I'll have to get in one of those like full body scanners, like they use for like CGI.
Mm-hmm. What's amazing now is they're getting to the point where there's phone apps that can do a lot of that just with taking like a bunch of pictures around somebody.
Okay.
And they can piece it together with the software.
That's insane.
It blows my mind because it's like the stuff you imagine when you're a kid, like, oh, it'd be so cool if I could like scan myself into a video game or whatever.
Yeah. If I was a kid and I had that capability, I would scan my butt and I would get a 3D model of my butt. Actually, I do that now. I do that as an adult. I don't
make it your butt gun in your Halo match.
Yes, that would. That's my new dream.
I love it.
Well, speaking of dream, if I can go to what I picked up this week, I was talking last episode or 2 episodes ago about collecting pre-code horror comics.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a dream of collecting all of the Mystic comics and all of the crime suspense stories comics. Crime suspense stories is like those are my Grail comics. There was a Supreme Court case, and they used one of the covers as an example during it, and it's just iconic.
That's awesome.
But I picked up another issue of Mystic.
Oh,
Mystic
that's
28,
awesome.
and this is a very iconic cover. It's yeah, and you can see it's just beautiful. It's striking. That the imagery of the body, the dead body in the morgue, grabbing the man is just so striking. And one of the reasons that it later became a non-approved comic. But I picked it up at a local shop, which usually it's hard to get pre-code horror comics at your local comic book store because they'll just sell out. But there's a shop near me, and the owner goes to every convention that he can, and he collects pre-code also. So this was a double from his collection. He picked up a nicer grade of this comic, and he sold me the one so the cover is not attached. The staples ripped through. So I got the one with the detached cover, but still fairly decent quality.
Yeah, it looks good.
Mystic 28. It's still hard to find them in this condition. So
I'm always impressed. You're really good at getting in and having a good relationship with your like comic book owners, comic shop owners. Like even in college, and as an introvert, it's always impressed me because that's how I make enemies, is trying to network.
So one of the pastors at my church, he said that whenever there's a new couple that comes to church, you'll know that it's their first time visiting because Josh will catch them before they leave and ask if they play board games. That's like the joke, is that I'll find somebody new and I walk up and I say, "Hi, I'm Josh. Do you play board games?" I'm always trying to meet people. I love meeting people. I love meeting new people. And with the comic shops, it's nice because there's already that shared interest. And it's something that I can actually talk about. Like I know there's a lot of comic shops that have scalpers come in. So a lot of comic shops, I feel like they kind of test me when I go in, and they like ask me questions and about my collection. And it's like, I know they're trying to see if I'm authentically buying. You know, if they give me a deal, are they going to see that thing on eBay the next day?
Yeah.
So there's definitely like a buildup of trust, but yeah, I do like to do that. Funny thing about the comic shop at college, I was on TikTok because I'm 12, and guess who just randomly showed up on my For You page?
Who?
The guy who managed the comic shop in Yellow Springs.
Oh.
Not even talking about comic books. He was talking about his music. He's got like a SoundCloud.
That's
and
cool.
I commented. I was like, "Yo, I used to buy comics from you, dude."
That's awesome. I actually was in there with friends like a week ago.
No way.
Mm-hmm.
How was it? Was it any different?
It's interesting because I don't know how into like manga and stuff I was, but it seems like they have more of that. And they definitely have they have a whole wall of board games now.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's super cool.
Yeah, Yellow Springs is a cool place. If you're ever in Ohio, go visit that.
Yes, big shout out Yellow Springs.
Yeah, they just got a lot of cool shops and food, and for a small Ohio town, it's very unique. It's cool.
Yeah. One more random, not related to comic books or what we're reading thing. So I started doing this when I got my current job, probably like 7 months ago or so, where 6 months ago, I have 2 notebooks, different colors. It's this new system I have for taking notes. This notebook is my everything notes. It's where I take notes during meetings, just scribble everything down. This is important notes only and important to-do list. So I do most of my to-do list in here, but if I have like a really important or like an overarching to-do list thing that will span a few weeks or months, it goes in here. and it has been like one of the most helpful things to me to keep things like organized in my mind and what I'm doing. So
that's really smart.
That's my current system, and I want to shout it out because I'm finding it's very useful for how I think.
I think it makes sense for most people because, like, I'm really bad at that in general. But even in school, when I'd have a notebook, it was always disorganized, and I could never find what was important. So, like, kind of having that catch-all week to week thing, and then having that overarching, as you said. Yeah, it makes sense. It's cool. I'm always impressed because
it works for me.
I have an artist's mind, so I just kind of go with the flow of things, and the deadlines and that push make me more creative. So I just let it all sort itself out.
I've seen that with you. It's a talent. You have a talent with that, and it stresses me the hell out.
I was gonna say it does.
You do have that.
It stresses me out too, and it should get better. I should fix it. But
well, you ready to talk Dead Body Road?
Dead Body Road.
Dead Body Road.
Remembering back, it's funny because I talked about always having good recommendations from Josh, that even if they're not my favorite, I appreciate them. And I thought you did me wrong last time. I started reading it and it was kind of like, it's all right. Like, it's not bad and whatever. Realized that I'd been reading the sequel to what we were supposed to read, and scrambled around and reread it, and it was great. The Dead Body Road, I enjoyed it a lot. You didn't betray me, Josh. You've done good by me.
I've kept my honor.
That's right.
Yeah, I cracked up at that. So yeah, you read the sequel, which is called Bad Blood. Mm-hmm. I have not read the sequel. I know that it did not get as raving reviews and as much positivity as the original Dead Body Road. So yeah, you read the sequel and didn't seem as impressed with it. But since then,
yeah,
we've corrected, and you have read the actual Dead Body Road.
Yes.
Which, no spoiler. Do you want to just lay out what it is?
Yes. So, it's. I mean, I think you primed it last time, but it's a revenge story. Right off the bat, our main character's wife. That's not something secret, right? Yeah. Mm-mm. So there's like a bank heist, and you see this woman security guard, or I don't know if is she a police officer? I forget.
Yeah, I think she's either police officer or security guard.
Okay. Well, she tries to stop this heist from happening and ends up being killed. And throughout you flash to our main character, whose name is
Orson Gage.
Dead Body Dan.
Dead Body Dan, yeah. They call him Gage, I think, through
Gage.
Most of it. Yeah.
Okay. And I think he, in that moment's talking to like a police officer friend or someone who probably knew his wife. I don't think he tries to convince him to get out of it, but he's like, here's some information. I don't condone what you're doing, but I get it. Mm-hmm. And then you start on this kind of crazy roller coaster of Gage tracking down the people that murdered his wife.
Yep. That's the whole thing. What is especially interesting about it is that the vast majority of the comic, which is just, I think, 6 issues or 5 issues, takes place in vehicles during car chases and stuff. There's an entire issue that is entirely devoted to a car chase. That is just so abnormal for comic books. It's you can't watch an action movie today without, or even like not an action movie. Like most movies have a car chase. Like so many movies have some sort of car chase or high speed thing going on. It just raises the tension, and it's exciting, and it feels very alive and action packed. But you can't display that well in a visual format with comic books. That's what, for me, this comic feels fast. It feels exciting in the imagery and what they're able to convey through the illustrations. So that's why I wanted you to read it, because this comic isn't like other comics in that it tried to do something new, and I think succeeded in that. So I think it's a fun, like if you're new to comics or interested in comics, like this is the sort of story that will push the boundary and also like redefine what you think comics can do.
Honestly, it feels like you're flying off the rails. Like it's breakneck speed when you're in one of those chases. And they do a really good job of, I don't know how you put it, but like conveying that and going from character to character without it being like, in a lot of movies you see kind of that cheesy, like you see the car speeding around and then they cut to the main actor and you can tell the main actor's like on a green screen or something, and it's like like just doing like cutaways like oh no, there's a little old lady on the road, I gotta swerve, like, but it feeling disconnected from the action. And it did a really good job of connecting all that together without it feeling like it made it choppy or like taking you out of the speed of what's happening.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It was very consistent in feeling that fast-paced. You are driving towards something. Yeah. And for a lot of the comic, it felt like you're driving toward a cliff. Like it didn't. This is not like a happy-go-lucky comic. Although it is like exciting, it's still a revenge story, and it still does have those vibes that kind of not mellow, but bring the story down in that sense. I loved it. Being a, I don't know, I'm assuming one of the newer comics that tries to push boundaries, because that's I really think that was a lot of the purpose in this comic, was trying to push boundaries. Did you think they missed anything? Not just in terms of like the car chases and that type, but also just in terms of storytelling and what they did, like in their effort to be like, we're doing this thing no one's done. Was there anything you feel like they missed?
Is it right if I contrast the sequel?
Yeah.
So with the sequel, I didn't enjoy it quite as much, and it was still like a lot of action, and it was well drawn and everything else. Like it did well, but I think what Dead Body Road, like the first one, did really well was keeping things kind of simple and concise to carry you through. Like the revenge story made sense. Is there spoilers in this one, really? Do we want to
I'm down to go into spoilers. Let's do it.
Okay, perfect. If you haven't read it, go read it. It's a fun ride. Come back to us. We'll help you enjoy it more. That's right. So like his wife got killed. He goes through this vendetta, this breakneck speed to catch everybody involved, and he gets him. You understand his reasoning. You like this guy. Like he's pretty simple, but like it makes sense what he's doing it for. He gets to his goal and he dies tragically. Like it gets to the point of what it's supposed to do. In the second one, the reasoning behind it's another revenge story. So you first off, you start following this woman who's a bartender. Her brother seems to be in trouble with like he's in trouble with like a dirty cop and like kind of a mob sort of situation. She like gets attacked but also starts tracking people down and kicks butt and kills some people to try to like save her brother. You come to find out that the brother was sleeping with the like head of this like dirty cop mob organization, and as they're getting caught, like they go to run away together, the wife falls and kills the cop's son. Like, so the dirty cop is basically like, oh, he's all I had to live for. He was the reason I was trying to change. I was going to be better, and you ruined all that. And so the cop ends up killing the brother, and the sister has a chance to save him and is like, well, sometimes people aren't like, they're past saving.
Wait, and the person that she wanted to kill originally?
Yeah, so the person that she wanted to save her brother from, she ends up letting him kill her brother.
Oh.
And
that doesn't feel right.
No, and then like randomly, like I'm really bad at telling stories, but like earlier on, there's a deputy that kind of has a thing for this bartender chick, and he comes up at the end and is just like, all right, well, we'll take care of this. Do you want to like go be together? Like, there's not really any payoff for anything. There's no real, like, the cop guy gets his revenge, but like completely for the wrong reasons, or not for the wrong reasons, but like he betrays the whole thing that he kind of had his son, like his motivations for who his son was. He just, I'm doing this, not doing it justice, but basically you have Dead Body Road 1. You have a very clean and concise story. You understand the guy's reasonings. He gets to the end of it, and the vehicle that carries you through that is this amazing breakneck story that achieves what they were trying to do. Like, they work together. In the second one, the vision seems clouded. It just kind of seems to happen, and then for whatever reason the ending is like, it doesn't really make a lot of sense for what the whole series is. It's like the bad guy wins, your good person decides to like betray her values, because it was like everything for my brother. Like, she killed people to try to save her brother,
and then she's like, ah, nah.
Yeah, so it's like, well,
yeah, that sounds like a huge contrast to the Dead Body Road, the first one, because so the first one ends with, like you said, he kills everybody. That like it is a revenge story. Like three issues in, it's very episodic. It's great in how they did that. But like 3 issues in, he's talking to this lady who's helping him with all this, and she's like, hey, you know this isn't gonna bring him back. This isn't gonna do anything. And he's like, I know. Like, I just have to do this. I have to try something, and this is gonna make it worse, but I'm gonna do it. And it's like he's resigned to the fact that he knows this isn't the like holy outcome. This isn't the upright outcome, but to him it's the right and just outcome. So it has that revenge story feel throughout the entire thing, and it ends with the revenge story payoff that they promised really well throughout the entire story of, you're gonna watch these people die, it's gonna be gross. Like, there's some really interesting like graphic gore that they put on in the illustrations too, that I think played well into the revenge story. Here's gore that's like, it's not something you enjoy looking at, if you know what I mean. It's like, oh, that's kind of messed up, that's gross. And then it ends with as he's dying, he's like, I was only a good man for these last few minutes. Like I did a very little bit, and he's telling the woman who helped him with this entire thing, who, he's trying to like prompt her on to get out of this, like do something better. And he tells her, just make it worth it. And it's this great payoff of like, you knew that was going to happen. Like you couldn't read this and go, well, it's this aggressive revenge story. You want him to be fine, but you also know, like, in this type of stories, he's probably not going to come out okay. And they follow through on those sorts of promises. Like, they're very consistent in the tropes and the genres of revenge, and that was great. And that's part of why this story, I think, is so fun, is it is fast-paced, it's action-packed, it's all of that, but it's also a revenge story that follows through on its promises. And it doesn't sound like the second one did that at all. Not really, because yeah. So that is one of my complaints with the first one, which I think I'm kind of hearing you say some of that for the second one. Is I love the illustrations. I like the story. I like what the story is that they're presenting. I'm not the biggest fan of the writing. I don't know. It's fine. It's not bad. But that's not what I think is anything that shines with this story. I just think it's something that's not bad. But there are other things like the illustrations and the way they drove the story forward that do shine, that really do push all of that. Yes.
It worked to do what he wanted to do, to push the medium, to get that out of it, but it could have been better on the story and the characters in a lot of ways. But yeah, I think last time we did this, we rated the story.
We did, and we created a rating system, and I think we should pretend like we did it for the very first time now.
That's right.
Editor Dave, if you want to cut that last part out, so it looks like we just came up with this on the fly.
Perfect.
So, Dead Body Road. I enjoyed it a lot. I liked it. What would you rate it? What are your thoughts on Dead Body Road?
I think
final thoughts
for doing what it tried to do and doing that very well. But falling short in those little ways that could have made it shine even a little more. I think I'll give it 6 dead bodies out of 10.
6 dead bodies out of 10. Okay. I think I'm gonna say 6.5.
Okay.
Because
you're a fan of gore. You like half a body.
I do actually. I do like visually striking images. Like, I'm not opposed to gore in my comics. Hence why I'm collecting horror comics. The gory ones are more expensive though, so I don't have much gore yet. But I think the things they did well, they did so well. This is a series that I think is evidence that the genre or the medium of comic books is so much more than people think it can be, even within the industry. The fact that this came out in 2012 or 2013 and really was something that hadn't been done successfully before. There were attempts at it, I would say, but this one actually did it. And I had not seen it before. Go look at, I'll just call them out. Go read the Flash comic books. It does not feel like you're watching the world's fastest man. It feels like you're looking at a comic book with a static image. And people, we've had the best writers in the game write for the Flash, and we've had the best artists in the game do the illustrations for the Flash, and it still doesn't have that dynamic. But this story in a few issues did that so well. The art is great. The idea of the story is super fun. I like revenge stories. So I'm going to say 6.5 dead bodies out of 10.
I understand. I think that makes sense. I think I'd give the second one more like 3.5 to 4 out of 10.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the first one definitely worth a read, especially like to have that that experience, because it is something special. And I don't know enough about comics, but I don't feel like there's probably been a lot that have been able to achieve that sense. I mean, they definitely pushed it, but I don't know.
Yeah, I'd say there are not a lot that. Yeah, there are a lot of comics that try to push the boundaries and do something new. But this one, I think, they did it in such a short amount of time, such a concise story. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. That's Dead Body Road. I do have a recommendation, not comic book, but revenge. I'm a sucker for revenge stories. I really like revenge stories. Blue Ruin. Have you heard of this movie?
I don't think so. I think you might have mentioned it to me in the past, but
okay,
go for it.
I discovered it. Okay, so fun fact about Josh. He's a morning person.
Mm-hmm.
And Chelsea, my wife, does not A, like the mornings, and B, like the same movies or entertainment that I do, for the most part. So, typically, Saturday and Sunday mornings, I just watch movies and TV shows. I go out places. The problem is most of them aren't open. So usually I'm in watching movies and TV shows that I know Chelsea is not interested in. And this was, I don't know, 2 years after we got married. It was Saturday at like 7 a.m. And it was on Amazon. My Amazon recommended for you. I knew nothing about it. I didn't watch the trailer. And I was like, oh, sure, we'll watch it. And I just fell into my absolute favorite revenge story of all time. Like, it is so well done as far as filming goes. Rule of thirds, Dave. It is beautiful. It's striking. The effects that they used for like gore and violence, it felt real. Like, I watched it, and I have a pretty high tolerance, I think, for gore and violence because I really like horror movies. And I watched it. I was like, I don't like this. It's too much, And I turned off the movie, and I remember the feelings of like, oh, that was heavy and weighty, and I like the whole, there's family dynamics in what's going on, and you don't know details of them. And most of the movie, they're not like, there's very few words the whole movie, but you feel the emotions of this tension between families and stuff that's going on. And I remember turning the movie off and being like, I feel what they were trying to like get me to feel. I think it's amazing as far as movies go, period. It's great. And then for revenge stories and revenge movies, that is my number one pick. Blue Ruin.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Like, that sounds like a trip. I think we've talked about this before. I don't know about if it was in the last one or not, but just the difference between us and some of what we enjoy in our media, where you enjoy experiencing things like that or fear in like horror,
Yep.
but in like that controlled sense where you like experiencing an emotion in a safe but like way to kind of push yourself or not test yourself, but like it's a fun emotion to feel in that setting. where I don't even know if I could watch that. Not in a bad way, but like,
yeah,
I get so invested isn't the right word. More like I'm very much in whatever I'm watching and affected by it already.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'd be willing to check it out, but that was something that was interesting to me because I think a lot of my media stuff I try to escape, and like the first time I watched The Office, the first couple seasons were so hard for me to watch because it was so cringy.
Yeah.
Like I'm you'd think I was a wimp because I like hide behind a pillow at times because it's so painful for me. In the stupidest of
watching
like
The Office behind a pillow.
It hurts. It hurts me.
That's awesome.
I enjoy The Office now, and they kind of changed that where it's still cringy, but you love the characters enough, and you're understanding that there's not actually like anything at stake in that. But that's why I found myself going to like anime a lot because I can still connect with it and still even like I've cried watching anime and reading manga, but it's different. I don't know. Yeah. Sorry. Random tangent. I find it interesting what people like and what they
that's super
enjoy.
Yeah.
Because I'm into there's a trope in manga and anime called isekai, however you say it, but it's like going to another world, like you die or you're reincarnated or you're summoned to a fantasy world or somewhere else, and quite often it's like either video game rules or like you get magic or something, but it's just like you could actually like go be in Skyrim, and that sounds awesome to me. And like even if they're crap, that's like my guilty pleasure, the escaping and doing that sounds awesome.
Okay, this is my request. The next podcast needs to be in that genre. That's my request, because I actually was just mentioning to Ben, another friend. Thanks for watching, Ben.
Our super fan. He knows everything about
our super fan. He knows all of the fun facts, even that I'm not actually 7 foot. He knows that I'm maybe taller. Maybe. Only Ben knows. No one else.
It could be.
So we send TikToks back and forth all the time because we're both 12, and I don't remember if I sent him one or just told him about one where it was this thing that I saw on my TikTok page where it was this like teenage girl, and she was like, I shifted, and she was talking about that she was in Hogwarts and that Snape was punishing her or something, like she was in trouble. And I was like, what the heck is going on? What is happening? And she looked dead serious. She was like deadpan. She's like, I shifted for the first time today. I was like, what is happening? So I Googled it. I was like, shifting. What is shifting? And it's this like, I guess it's like a big thing. Huh. Where these people are like, they're like, I teleported. IRL. It's like, everything I read about it, they're like, this is real. This is 100%, and I have a proven strategy to make you be able to shift just like me. They're like, I shifted into Narnia. I woke up in Hogwarts, like all these things, and they're like, they're having real experiences with these like fake stories. And so I sent that to Ben, and I was like, lol XD. And Ben goes, hey, like, yeah, I get it. Like, that's cringe and weird. Also, that's one of my favorite genres. Not that, but the idea of, like, you wake up in a world with different rules or a world that already exists or whatever. And I don't get it. Really? He was trying to explain it. I don't. I do in the sense that there's stories I know that do that.
Mm-hmm.
But the way Ben was explaining it to me, like I don't think I've given a story like that a fair shot. But Ben says they're great. You say they're great.
I'll have to find a good one, because it's such an interesting thing, because it's so done, so overdone to the point where they've even expedited, like, it's gonna sound dumb, expedited the exposition of getting to that other world. Like, there's even kind of a meta thing that's it's gone through cycles of, you'll read a kind of a crappy one or something, and maybe it's not, but they've joked and even embodied, like, the thing that causes death to the person. Like, there was a number of times where people would, like, walk out in the middle of the street, just walking down, like, on their way home from school, and they get hit by a truck. And that's, like, a lot of them, they get hit by a truck, and that's how they get sent to the other world, is they died and then they were reincarnated, or they died too soon, or whatever else. To the point where they call him Truck-kun, and they'll, like, in the flashback sometimes put, like, a face on him, or, like, do the anime, like, blushing cheeks thing. Like, but they'll even, like, skip. So in other ones, they'll wake up and they're met by, like, a deity or something that says, like, you led a good life and died too early, so you've earned a chance to be reborn in another world, blah, 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 blah. So I'll have to find one that isn't quite that far along in the development of the language, or whatever you want to call it, so that it's not just, like, catching you off guard, or whatever you want to say, like rushing it too fast.
Okay.
So we'll see.
Find one, because okay. I'm that's something I'm interested in, because now you've mentioned it and Ben has already mentioned it. So interesting. I'm willing to dip my toe into some horror at some point, so we can broaden both of our own minds. Well, I definitely have horror comics that'll hit the docket. Oh man, it's I've got so many comics. I'm like, I want us to engage with this story. I want to talk about this. I think it would be super fun just to revisit that story for me, but also to share that with you. I think it would be great. Mm-hmm. But I'm also like, I don't want to not do a story I love justice. So I also don't want to bring some of these stories out yet, because I'm like, I don't want to. I don't know. Like, I don't know. I'm just scared of that. But I do have a cool comic shout out. Hang on, wait, it's over here. Okay, I got a comic. It's called Bumpback. And
I got it as well.
We know. Oh, you did? Nice. Mm-hmm. We know the guy who wrote this.
That's right.
Our friend Paul from college wrote this comic book.
Paul, I don't Xbox on Tucker.
Yes. Paul Tucker, the man. I don't know who the artist is. But they're great. The artist is excellent. It's funny too, because there's a whole bunch of references of, like, the college that we went to in the comics.
I need to read it then. I haven't read it yet. I just got it in the mail a little while ago.
So it starts. I'll tell you one of them. It starts in a butcher shop, and they call it the meat market, which is where the college that we went to. It was this place in between the freshman male and female dorm. There was this little grassy spot, and everybody called it the meat market, because it was where these freshmen would meet each other.
But
it was stupid.
I swear that there was actually a college guy a few times with, like, an acoustic guitar out there.
Yeah. With
ladies around, or trying to have ladies around.
Paul's comic. I have read it twice. I love it. It's great. It's a lot of fun.
Is it available?
The characters are awesome.
Or was it only for the Kickstarter?
I think it was only for the Kickstarter.
Okay.
But I could be wrong.
But we should possibly get him on. Have our first guest.
That would be
star.
Oh, that'd be so fun, and we could ask him about making a comic.
It would be very interesting, especially not doing it in conventional means, because he like we said, kickstarted it. Yeah. Cool. I'll have to keep thinking for next episode. I'm excited to throw some isekai your way. And for those anime and manga fans out there, I'm sorry if you're tired of it. We won't do it every episode, but I enjoy it. So.
Wait, what won't we do every episode?
Isekai. Every manga isn't going to be.
Oh, yeah. Wait, so people don't like it, like they're tired of it. You're saying. Oh, I see.
There's two sides, I guess, to it, because there's people that, if they're tired of that trope, like there's stories that overcome it or like go past it, but if you're tired of the trope, it's hard, because there's just a bunch of them, and they're kind of pumping them out, like to the point where there's the stupidest scenarios of like throwing something unique into it to make it funny or to make it interesting, that it feels, I don't know if you call it cheap or whatever else, but like it gets, I don't know how you say it, just like they're stretching it. Just put it that way. Okay. And so there's people that are very tired of it, but I'm not yet.
Well, I'm not sorry. I'm looking forward to that. I don't have any comic book recommendations aside from Paul's this week. Mm-hmm. But it'll be good. Next episode will be good. Whatever it is. In person. Next one should be in person.
Yes. The boys visiting Ohio.
The boy is walking right here. He'll be walking right there.
Yes, right.
Just give it a few days. Mm-hmm. So actually, with that in mind, you should definitely pick something soon so I can read it on the drive.
Will do.
Yeah. Okay.
Should we call that one?
I think with that, we're out.
All right.
Later, Girl Scouts.
Yeah. We'll eat your cookies.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.